And to many of you involved, some of the themes that we've heard today, some of the elements might sound familiar. So picture a typical family living here in Cincinnati, a mom and dad, 3 kids, packed schedule. Mom does it all. She's a school teacher. She shuttles the kids to and from school and soccer practice in her minivan. She runs the household. The cadence goes on for years and everything looks great from the outside. One day, dad is diagnosed with a rare form of muscular dystrophy, and everything in the family's life is thrown for a loop. For a while, things are normal. Dad is still able to head to work downtown. Mom still works and is still shuttling the kids to and from school and soccer practice and running the household. But for dad, the challenges of the muscular dystrophy start to take their toll. Gradually, his mobility is limited and decisions need to be made. There are a series of falls, and after one of the falls, which ends up in a long hospital stay, the family comes together and they decide that they need to take the steps to modify their home. So they call their friend James, and he comes in and he installs grab bars all over the house, specifically in the kitchen, the master bath. And although the house has changed, it is now much safer for the dad to get around. Several months pass, and the muscular dystrophy progresses even further. All of a sudden, the dad finds himself in a wheelchair, and mobility challenges are front and center. Does this sound familiar? This time, James installs a massive wheelchair ramp in the garage that allows the dad to get in and out of the house without issues. Next door, one of the family's neighbors, Ed, notices that the mom and the dad still face challenges in their daily lives. By this time, their kids are off from college, and with dad needing more and more help getting around, getting to doctor's appointments and the like, Ed takes it upon himself to make sure that the family's lawn is cut and well manicured. Each time Ed cuts his own lawn, he cuts the family's lawn as well. And he doesn't just cut it, he cuts perfect patterns each time. When the leaves start to fall, Ed rakes his leaves and mulches them. He also rakes the family's leaves and mulches them. When a tree falls on a common fence, Ed takes care of it, no questions asked. When spring rolls around, another neighbor, Glenn, makes sure that the family flower beds are mulched and free of weeds. And when the winter inevitably resurfaces, Glenn makes sure that the driveway is free of snow so that the mom can get in and out of the driveway. The family is overwhelmed by the people around them that have decided to step in and make sure that their house can remain a home and that it does not become a burden. For many people, they don't have a James, an Ed, or a Glenn to step in and make sure that their house is safe, and that it is inviting, and that it is maintained properly with each passing season. Nor do they have the means to do so. So who do they have? Who can they count on? Who can be reliable? Sometimes the answer to all 3 of those questions is PWC. What I find inspiring about PWC is not just that they do what they do, but it's how they do it. PWC enters each house knowing that it is someone's home. People are treated with respect, they are cared for, and in the end, they know that they matter. They know that in a time of difficulty or struggle, PWC is consistent. And I've seen it firsthand. My former colleague and I, Aisha, sitting right here, we've walked through hundreds of homes with PWC staff prior to performing repairs. A visit that was scheduled for 30 minutes often turns into a 2-hour visit. Sorry, Russ, that's where I was for that extra hour and a half. But it was never a waste of time. We'd go in, thinking we're going to do one thing, and we end up sitting with a military vet talking about the good old days, looking at family pictures. That's just the nature of the work when you're working with PWC. And we find people in all types of living conditions, good and bad. And just as a side note, PWC goes into some of the oldest housing stock in the area, and that presents a tremendous challenge. Not everybody's willing to do that. But I've never seen PWC shy away. And their staff would always go above and beyond for the homeowners. In some ways, PWC is that great neighbor that many of us would love to have. This is an organization worth supporting, and I want to encourage everybody in the room to continue to give their time, their talents, and their treasures to PWC. With regards to time, PWC always needs regular folks like you and I to volunteer. Their massive volunteer operation doesn't run itself. Just ask Aaron, he'll tell you. And without volunteers, PWC wouldn't be able to serve as many people as it does each year. Regular folks like you and I can rake leaves and weed gardens during Prepare Fair. Give your talents. So I've never actually seen Jacques swing a hammer, but from what I hear, it's so if you're the opposite of Jacques and you're handy, put those skills to use. Participate in the Repair Fair and help rebuild a porch, a deck, install a wheelchair ramp. The possibilities are endless. But all jokes aside, although Jacques cannot swing a hammer, he is a tireless advocate for each household that is part of the PWC family. And lastly, give your treasure. There are plenty of organizations worthy of our resources, but very few have the reach and the versatility of PWC. So as I wrap up, I'm sure you're curious about that family whose story that I shared earlier. As it turns out, that was my family. Ed, James, and Glenn are people that I know, that I love and respect. James's wife is here with us today. And it was my mom who was faced with the challenges of maintaining a household, while my dad battled muscular dystrophy for the better part of a decade. At no point in time did we worry because we had good people around us who were willing to help us face those challenges. And your presence here today is going to make the difference for a family that isn't as fortunate as mine was. So admittedly, a lot of my admiration and support for this organization stems from my personal experience. And I'm sure that if we went around the room, each of us could point to a time in our lives when we had to depend on others to get by. That's not a bad thing. That's what connects all of us, that adversity. That's an integral part of the journey that we're on. So now that we've had time to meditate on the meaning of home, what is home to you? Are we all willing to be good neighbors? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you're in the right place. Thank you.